Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hey.
Hey.
Thank you all for coming. This is the Nick Johnston Clinic, sponsored by Schecter Guitars and Mesa Boogie. Yes. I don't want to keep everybody waiting too long, so Nick, let's hear you rock out. Do you have anything to add before we start?
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, okay.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi. Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Right.
Thanks for coming out. I'm just gonna have a few almonds before we begin. Lightly salted. First time for me ever in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I love it. It's very green. I guess that's why it's called the Garden State. It's quite beautiful. Some of the houses around here too, absolutely stunning. I'm told the property taxes are very high though. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Anyway, so had a great time here at the store. These guys are amazing. I don't know if any of you shop here, but these two guys, it's almost like they're related. It's like they're in sync. Okay, I know. I'm so funny. So I'm here on behalf of Schecter. I'm gonna play this guy here, real quick. That's my other one. Has anyone tried it? Come on. I also have a new album out, so I'm going to play a bunch of that. And then after, we have so much time. This is like the longest amount of time I've ever had for a clinic. It was like 2 hours. So I'm going to hang out at the desk there. We'll all become friends. We'll sign some stuff, and maybe someone will invite me over for dinner. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. Anyways, I'm going to play a bit. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. Can everybody hear that?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
Don't worry, my friend. If you leave here with working eardrums, I've not done my job. Thank you. It's funny with that song. I was saying this at the last clinic. Usually when I get through all that stuff, all that noodling and all that nonsense, I get to the very end and there's one thing, 9 times out of 10, I stumble on. That's why when I finish that song, I'm usually like, yes, this time it worked. And that's this. So all that, and then this happens. It's an E chord, but you can still butcher it, guys, after all this time. Okay, so anyways, the way I like to kind of structure these is I play, we talk, play, we talk, and then we meet at the end. So, we have lots of time, so we're going to talk a lot. I like to talk a lot, which you will soon learn. But usually in these types of things, people are a little bit shy, so it takes a minute for people to open up. So I will do what I normally do and offer a bribe. First person who asks a question will get this gross pick I'm using. But it has to be a real question, not what picks do you use, what strings do you use. You have a real question?
I hope so.
Okay, good.
No pressure. I hope it's not a fake question. What inspires you to play? What artists? What kind of music? Because I know for me, when I go to clinics like these, I watch guys play, and the first thing I want to do is go home and break out my guitar and be like, yeah,
Has
I
that
can do
happened
that
so
too.
far? Has that happened yet?
Yes, mission accomplished. It's gonna happen.
The next step is just you breaking out your wallet and buying one of my signature models. I'm just kidding. But hey, available at Beaumont Guitars. Anyway, sorry, continue. sorry. Go on. I'm Canadian. I gotta say sorry a million times, right? Continue.
Not at all. But yeah. So, is there anything in particular that you sort of gravitate towards that inspires you to want to try something different on the guitar, or just approach it from a different perspective?
Very good. I don't think I've ever been asked that. Never, ever. So that's
Happy to
definitely pick worthy. The short answer is I don't think about any of that stuff. I really don't. I think a lot of people I know, and musicians I know and guitar players I know, and I hate to use the term. I don't mean any offense by it to anybody, but the amateur where you're not, it's not a professional job, whatever you want to call that. Those are kind of things that are usually asked, like what gear do you use, who are you influenced by, what do you think about when you're playing. None of that's going through my mind ever. I don't like when I'm at home playing. I'm literally at home playing, just enjoying the sound of the guitar. I think it's such a beautiful instrument, just the sound of. It's like, oh, it sounds so great. It has nothing to do with trying to do something different or innovate or grow as a player or bring in new influences or write new music. It's just, I love playing guitar so much. And I've been playing guitar since I was 14. I'm 31 now. Oh, Nick, you don't look a day over 29. I was expecting a lot of people to.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Oh, jeez Louise. Yeah, I don't think, I've never thought like that. In fact, even going back to why I got into playing guitar was kind of an accident. It was my neighbor. I heard him playing through his basement window. I heard him playing what was at the time popular music on the radio with guitar in it, like maybe some of you guys remember. I remember hearing all that stuff and being like, that's really cool. Not really knowing, how to play it or what it was or where it was coming from, but I heard him playing that through his basement window. One day I just went over and asked him, can I watch you play? And I was 13 and he was 14, and at that age, that's a huge difference because he's in high school, I'm in grade school. Maybe he had a girlfriend, maybe he had chest hair, I don't know. He's like, whoa, it's big, crazy, different. And he let me come in and watch him play, and he just gave me the guitar and he said, here, hold the guitar. Hi, come on in, there's plenty of room. And he just said, play a note, and I heard the pitch go up, and explosions everywhere in my brain. And that was where that kind of love for the instrument, it didn't come from hearing Eddie Van Halen play Eruption or Angus Young play a solo. It was just the pure attraction to this instrument. And that's just always what it's been. You know, when I used to play guitar 8 hours a day for like 10 years. And it had nothing to do with, I want to get better, I want to meet girls and blah, blah. It was just, I love playing guitar so much. I never had structure, I didn't take lessons. I grew up in a town called Rockwood, Ontario, just inside Toronto. And there was like 400 people living there. I know, right? There's nobody there, only a few people my age, and they all played music, drums or guitar or something. That's all we did, we just played guitar. There was nothing else to do. I didn't have money for video games or gear, I just had a Squire Bullet and I just played lots of guitar. And even now it's the same thing. When I'm at home, I'm just like, I gotta love this instrument. I don't ever have to fight it, I don't ever have to hate it, because I want to do this long game, you know, until I'm 70 or whatever, until my hands stop working. But when I am writing music, the difference now is I'm not writing with a guitar, because I have too much stuff I'm comfortable, like I do stuff, you do stuff, you pick your guitar up, maybe you play that lick. And you're like, no, stop playing that lick. So I take the guitar completely out of the equation, and I write on the piano. And I have no technique. You ever watch your dad type on an iPhone where he's like, the screen is like the letter A is like that big. That's like me on a piano. Dun. But I think it's more harmony focused that way. I'm thinking just about melody. Like those last 2 songs I played, those were all piano. I wrote those at home on a little keyboard. So that's kind of where that's evolving. It's more so just about music and melody and harmony. I'm trying to do something different with that. You know, typically the way I write, I'm piggybacking off your question, there's something different, is, you know, you listen to any of these melodies like that, the second song, that melody's really simple, you know. I can play it with my thumb. It's not a hard melody, right? But when you develop the harmony around that, you know, for example, it starts off in E minor. The next chord, or the next pitch, sorry, is this D. I could have gone like this. It's like, nah, it sounds like a bad Christmas song or something. And then it could have been a D, it could have been... There's no weight, there's no drama to that. I'll do one more for the sake of this argument, but G minor, for example, I'll play, which is also not in this key, but... Okay, no, I don't want that. It ultimately turned into a B flat chord, which is... To me, it's just like, yes, that's what I was looking for. It took me a while to find it, but it's that relationship between the root or the chord and the pitch on top. And that, for me, is like the endless pursuit. Technique, I could play more technical when I was 16, you know, when I was playing 8 hours. I don't do that anymore. I can play way more. I've stopped working on that. That's not a thing anymore. It's more so just note choice and like, what interval do I want and what's the chord gonna go with this pitch. That to me, I guess if I'm gonna innovate anything, it would be getting better at that. And that's not something you consciously think about. You just have to listen a lot. And how do you practice that? I just think you keep an open mind and just try stuff. You fail a lot. I think writing music is just as much of a skill set as like learning how to play. Do you write music?
Yes.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
To finish a song, to flex the entire muscle, like to go down and back up. It's like, I got a verse. It's like, I'll get a note on my iPhone, another one. You know, you gotta finish, you gotta build the muscle. Yeah, that whole process is crazy time consuming, but I love it. And I feel more accomplished when I do something like that, when I get through it. Yes, I actually did something. And, you know, I released a couple weeks ago my 5th album, and it's interesting when you look back and it's like, that's a lot of music, but it doesn't feel like it because it's just always been something I've loved doing. Versus sitting down and you know, I said, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm practicing my 16th notes at 120. I'm like, good luck with that. Have fun. that stuff forever, you know. But for the most part, I don't think about any of that stuff. Just try to enjoy playing the precious little bit of time I have now to do that, you know. Anybody else? Question? My friend, how are you doing? I don't think you need the mic. I can hear you. No, God, no. I don't even need the mic. No, you're good.
Actually, you kind of answered the question I was going to ask, but I just want to ask you about melody writing. So, for instance, you said you write melody with a piano, you kind of sit there, but when do you find yourself more, like, I would say more inspired to write melodies, like, for example, the one you just played, and just kind of keep going with that? And if you find yourself in a kind of writer's block, how do you fight that? Like, how do you say to yourself, okay, that's good what it is, let's keep going, and so on and so forth?
Another good question. It's funny, right? Songwriting is or inspiration or evolving, maturing as a musician versus like technique. It's kind of still, no one knows the answer. It's like the great unknown, because no one, you can't read it. Well, you can. I guess you can read how other people do it, but when it's happening to you, you're like, oh God, am I tapped out? Is the well empty? What's going on here? So I get asked that a lot about the inspiration thing. You know, when do you write and what keeps you inspired? Man, I'm giving two cop-out answers here. So I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna be at home and there's a sunset and I go, yes. The way the purple is in that, you know. I think writing is, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but it's like craft. It's a craft. It's like there's craftsmanship involved. It's like that whole thing where I said it's finishing this process. I don't have a set time when I'm like, oh, now I need to write if I'm gonna write an album, or if I want to write an album, it's gonna happen all year or 2 years or 3 years. I don't have control over that. I know some guys sit down and they go, write an album, I'm gonna write the first song today. I can't do that. I also, for whatever reason, I don't seem to get writer's block because I don't ever worry I'm out of ideas. If I ever am stopped, I walk away. Like I'm not gonna fight this. I'm not gonna be happy with the end result. I've learned that over time. I'll walk away, or I'll just play guitar or work on something different. Because sometimes you're not ready for the idea. You know, it might be like complicated chord changes, or you found this thing in a different time signature or tempo. You're just not ready. It's okay to be, you know, aware of that. It's like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm not equipped to deal with this yet. Maybe, you know, 2 or 3 years down the road. I have stuff on Remarkably Human that I wrote back when I was like, well, that came out when I was 28 or 29. I wrote some of that stuff when I was like 21. Some of the melodies. I just didn't know what to do with them. So you gotta wait sometimes. But I'm pretty much of the school that you just work every day, you know. I'm also very lucky in the sense that this is my job, you know, this is my livelihood, is music, these guys. You know, I wake up in the morning and I play guitar. When people would go to work, I am still playing guitar. I'll go for a walk to clear my head and listen to music. I might do something crazy, come back home, play more guitar. And then I might, you know, have a tour or something, I gotta go and do this. Rehearsing, I'm playing guitar. I'm just always around music, so there's never a point where I'm not creating. I'm always percolating ideas. And I'm also aware that, you know, being 31, my best stuff isn't gonna happen for like decades. So I'm just constantly working towards the next step, you know? Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, man. Just if it gets where you're frustrated, just walk away from it for a minute. You know, something cool might happen later. Yeah, I'll do one more and then I'll play. Yes, sir.
Are you interested in like non-guitar genres? Do you listen to symphonic music, chamber music? Since your harmony's really cool, I love it.
Oh,
and it sounds like, you know, some of it sounds a little Debussy-esque or like Stravinsky, things like that. Do you listen to anything like that?
Yeah.
Any non-guitar stuff?
I like I don't listen to much guitar stuff actually. Quite the opposite. Yeah, I love classical music. Favorite composer is probably Rachmaninoff. A lot of that Russian stuff. What were we listening to in the car? Yeah.
Yeah, you sound more like Prokofiev, the tritone,
Oh,
the
man.
relation to the minor third.
Cool. Yeah. I used to listen to a ton of guitar music when I was a kid. All the shrapnel stuff and, you know, all the progressive rock stuff, and I'm just kind of burned out on that a little bit. I heard enough in my bedroom for 8 hours a day for a lifetime. So yeah, a lot of classical music, sure. Some jazz stuff. Yeah, a lot of movie soundtracks too. Bernard Herrmann is my favorite film composer. Man, the Vertigo Prelude. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I do. It's a good score.
Of course, yeah. Amazing stuff. Amazing. Anyways, I'll play some more and then we'll talk some more. Yeah. After the song. After the song.
Your playing is very,
Or not. Go ahead.
your playing is very melodic,
Oh, thank you.
and I sense a romanticism as well. Very fresh change from a lot of other stuff I've been hearing in rock and guitar music. I come from a jazz point of view and what I like to listen to, not what I play necessarily, but I sense the better players stick to the melody and the melody line when they improvise.
Yeah.
And I hear that in you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Again, it's one of those things I don't really think of it. I just like the harmony. I just enjoy cool chord changes. And I hope for the best a lot of times. All right. Here we go. Come on. What? Hey, signal's weak. Anybody have a question about anything at all? Oh, look at that. My friend up front.
Sorry if you've been asked this before, but have you ever played with a whammy bar? Or have you always found that it gets in the way? It's got a very interesting technique.
Sorry if you've been asked this before. Where are you from?
I'm from England, so I like to say sorry a lot, just like Canadians.
We're under that crown together, aren't
Yeah,
we?
I
Sure.
just apologize for everything.
Okay, I can tell the story on that. Yes, of course. I did at one point in my past play a whammy bar. When I was roughly 17 years old, I saved up over the summer to purchase what was at the time a guitar by a company called Carvin. They're now called Kiesel, I believe now, right? Yeah. And I bought a Carvin DC 127C. It had the Floyd Rose on it, baby. And it had everything on it, actually. It had the abalone inlay, which were just horrendous. It had the 4D flame top. You could like see, you could crawl inside. It's awful. It was like this red. Anyways, it had the active pickups. It had like 12. It was ridiculous. It had like little nuclear reactors. It had the phase switch, the cappuccino machine. Like it had everything on it. You could launch a rocket. It had so many little switches here. Like, what do these even do? I'm 17. I don't know what they do. And when I was playing this guitar, I was really into a lot of those 80s guitar players that used the bar for just about everything. They're trying to all be Eddie Van Halen. And everything I did had the bar on it. I would play a G chord. I'd tune the guitar. And I was playing with a friend of mine, and he finally goes, we're kids at the time, he goes, Nick, you sound terrible. I was like, oh. So I sold it. I got rid of it completely, and I bought a Telecaster, which is basically a 2x4 with pickups in it. And I completely, relearned how to play guitar. That's when I started doing a lot more of that, like hybrid picking kind of stuff. Yeah, shut up. And it was great for a while, but I kind of missed the bar, I was like, and I was getting over it, I was like, hi, my name's Nick, and I'm a whammy baraholic, I was recovering, I was like, 12 step, actually there's 12 keys. Actually, that kind of worked very beautifully. Anyways, I had a friend who had bought a Strat, very different from this. This is based off Les Paul. And I remember him going like this. And much like my first time with a guitar, I was like, I didn't know you can do that. All I'm doing is grabbing bridge. Basically, it was the kind of middle of the road. I know what would happen if the bar was back on. I'd be up here. You guys would just be like, play a song, or is he playing with his bar? What's he doing? So I had to get away from it, and I mean it's kind of not that bad, but it kind of is. I also, left-handed. I find having that security blanket, like it was totally. I would use it so much to kind of get momentum in the tone and the string and the power of the guitar, so I had to get rid of it. And now I just use it. Well, you see me just as like little inflections or decoration in my playing. But at least for now, I'm doing that. I get that one a lot too. And why don't you just use the bar? It's like I just don't use the bar. It's like I just don't. It's the way I play guitar, But it really came from being obsessed with the bar. Yeah. Do you use the bar? But you play responsibly.
Yes.
You play responsibly.
Yeah, I love the bar.
I go to the bar responsibly. That works too, doesn't it? It all works. It's a night of revelations. Totally. Somebody else had a question back there. Yeah. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Relation to the first question, you're saying that you were self-taught, right?
Yeah.
And then you were also running off an example where you had one chord and then you said I can go to a B or I can go to G minor or I can go here. So now where I struggle is bridging the gap between theory on paper and then applying it to the guitar. Obviously,
Right. That's a tough
how
one.
much,
You got this. We're all behind you here. We're all
where
behind you.
did you make that connection being
Right.
self-taught?
Right. It's a great question, yeah. So, my biggest, first of all, I was terrified to play in front of people for so long. By the way, I'm noticing you got a Rush shirt on. Fantastic. I feel at home right now.
Well, this is northern New Jersey. We're a little closer.
That's right, yeah. I'm your hat. I was always terrified. I'd shake and I wouldn't be able to play in front of people. I was horrified of it. I don't know if anybody went through that. Anybody else go through that? Yeah, it's tough, right? And even going into a guitar store as a kid was like the worst. We're gonna go to the shop. I'd be like, you guys go. Like, but you play guitar. I'm like, I know. I just wouldn't do it. I couldn't go near it. The salesman would freak me out. Just like these guys, scary guys. I just couldn't do it. So at some point, I had to kind of change that. I'm going somewhere with this. I had to start playing a little bit in front of people and meeting more musicians, and because I wanted to be a professional musician. I still don't know what that means, but I wanted to play music instead of work at a gas station. That was my job. So that was cool. I started doing that, but then I realized everybody else was speaking this language, and I couldn't have a conversation. We'd finish a jam or something, and then maybe I always played with older musicians. I was always playing with people that were so much better than me and would make me look stupid all the time. And I still do that, and it's great. and they'd be talking like, oh yeah, well, you know, on that A chord I was playing sharp 11, and then I went to a G, so I turned it into you know, Lydian dominant, and I was like, what? What's the limit? I knew this. I knew that was called the pentatonic scale. I was like, yeah. But I could play, you know, I could play all that. I could play all that stuff, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know what the major scale was. So a big part of it, I kid you not, was shame. Shame and fear and being embarrassed are great motivators. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. They're fantastic motivators. Even she. Hey, what do you know about that young lady? She has no shame. No, she had no. Yeah, it was a big part of that. Now, also, I wanted to be part of this conversation. You know, I wanted to be able to go, oh yeah, over that G. The reason that last second I played a 9 on it, so it had that little bit of flavor. And then the keyboard player, because here's the thing: if I said, oh, that line was on the 4th fret, keyboard player would be like, what? What is a fret? You string players. Even a viol, you know, what is a fret? You guitar player, you know, even a vocalist. Oh, this isn't in my key. Can we sing? I can't sing in this key. Can we transpose it to B flat? I hope so. You know, if you can't do it, then you're like, oh, need a new singer. You on the street? Can you sing in D? So a lot of it was just the FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. And I genuinely loved it once I started learning stuff. I used to go to the library and take out textbooks. It was 2014, I was still in high school. I used to go and take out textbooks, and I'd see people talking about the modes. What are the modes? Who's Lydian? Who is she? So I'd sit down and I would just write it out. Sorry. I'd write them out, and I would just work on it. I would just play it a few times. I'd talk about it. I'd try and incorporate it into music. I used to do this thing a lot too, where I would just record one chord. Just it could be just a power chord, because once I started learning about the modes, I learned basically you can play anything over anything if there's non-specific information over what you're playing. So if it's just a C, I could say, all right, I want to try and use this C minor position. So I might go like. So I get that. But then I go, well, let me try Lydian. I know that mode. Mixolydian. Or just getting more complicated. I was like, I started learning like the harmonic minor shapes. And what about Phrygian dominance? One chord, I can start to put all these things over top of it. And I can work on that at home for 8 hours a day. I can just work on it. And it was way more fun than going. Nick, shut up! Sorry. In the household, it's always say. Instead of just running scales, it was more interesting for me to learn the shape, and then how does it feel, how does it sound in relation to this, where is it over here, how does it connect? And all of a sudden I just started filling in the gaps. At one point, embarrassingly, I could only play in the key of E because it was between some of these little dots. Great. I knew that this shape was on this dot right here on the neck, and right there on that neck, and then between these guys, I'd be with my friends, we'd be like, oh yeah, I'm like, check this shit out. They're like, cool, oh, we're gonna put a key change. I don't know what to do anymore. Now we're in the key of F. They're like, what, bro? So you're getting this. So I had to kind of use this stuff or I would have been left behind. I just wouldn't have been able to hang with people. And even now, you know, if I do some of these instrumental tours I do, there's usually like a jam at the end of the night, and you can kind of tell the guys who maybe haven't done any of that, and you don't have to do that. It's not like you need to know that stuff, but it's really fun. And then even for writing, if I'm aware, if I hear an E chord, maybe the first note most of us hear, maybe, I don't know, who knows how much ear training you've done. Maybe you're the sixth guy in the room, but usually we hear, I'm hearing the highest pitch of the chord, typically, right? Why can't it be, let's see if I can arrange this here. Or, you want to start to be able to hear these things, just want to be able to hear that one interval and know what that is. It's just knowing, like when you see the color red, you're like, it's red. It's just, it comes like that. I hear a song on the radio, I don't have perfect pitch, but I can tell you, oh, he's playing the 2, the 5, or the 6. I can tell you, oh, he made. The 4 is a minor chord, or he's doing the Steven Wilson thing. It's like the 5 chord is a minor now, and then what would he play over that? Well, because Mixolydian normally has these pitches, if you put a minor third in it, now it's become Dorian, which is now in the key of A, so you've changed keys, but you've also changed modes, you've changed chords, oh my god. But it starts to make sense when you're really actively working on it. And I don't mean try for a week and then go, play Call of Duty instead. I mean, like 5 to 7 years of it. And how old are you?
I'm 23.
Young man, yeah, fantastic.
The point of my question is not as much, just being able to understand on a piece of paper. It's applying it to the strings, and also with the writing. That's the biggest.
That's what I'm saying about my ear. That's the main thing. So, the whole, what I'm saying is putting yourself in a position where you have to learn it. Maybe you have the luxury of going, I don't have time, or I don't want to learn it, or I want to learn it, but I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get it down, or I want to learn it, but it's not sticking. You kind of either need to have this like passion, like I want to learn it, I need to have it down, or you just got to put yourself in a position where it's a fundamental part of the equation. Do you find yourself experimenting with chords and harmony at home a lot, or what do you like to do when you practice? Are you sitting there and just learning other people's stuff a lot of times?
Normally it's like a 4-bar loop on GarageBand, start improvising over it. That's
cool.
Kind of been my go-to bit.
That's great. That's awesome.
But when I get stuck, I do, I notice, it's like, I really wish I knew where I could go, from here. Right. Instead of just falling into the same habits of playing the same licks and embellishments over and over.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say strip that down to one power chord and just see how many things you can apply over that loop in like 5 minutes and see how long you can keep that one.
Change the color over that.
Yeah, man, that's fun stuff. That's really fun. If you just had and literally just a power chord, just and then maybe in a time signature or a feel that you're really comfortable with first, and then make it janky, because you can sit there and go, can I look at E? Do you know much theory? Do you know like what key you're in or anything like that?
Yeah,
so if I said, okay, I want you to play in E Lydian over that, what's the mother kind of key? Do you know off the top of your head what that would be? So then, yeah, that's one thing that's B. It's the 4 of B. So like that would be something you just learn. What I would say too, if you are inclined to, is learn all 7 chords and all 12 keys. For example, if you're going through the key of C, D, E, F, so on and so forth. Learn all 12 of them. Learn at any time, if I'm in the key of F, what's the 6? That's D minor. Like just learn that kind of stuff.
And it's got nothing to do with knowing a ton of stuff or like being, I can do this. It's just for your own toolbox, just to have that stuff. Write chord progressions, once you know the rules, you can break them a lot easier. It's really, really fun to take this in the middle of a chord progression, like. That was the minor 6, or the 6, sorry, of F.
You dropped it off one day.
That's interesting, that's never happened before. And then the 4, and then the, I forget what I'm saying. Anyways, just put yourself in situations where you're forcing yourself to learn it. It's really easy to come up with excuses why. And, I avoided it for the first 5 years of playing, and then I was just like, if I want to hang with these guys, I have to learn. But a lot of it was just playing over one chord, trying to imply a lot of different stuff. And over time, man, your ears need time, like they need. And everyone's different, right? It took me X amount of time. It might take you half the time, or it might take you twice the amount of time. Everyone's different. But if you just learn little tiny increments of new information, it's a good thing. What are you guys doing with that, by the way? What is this? It's like some little piece of gel you're putting in there?
Yeah.
You're keeping it cool? Is that what you're doing?
I am.
Oh my god. That's how we do it in Jersey here. Keep those cameras with an ice pack. You don't want to get a black eye.
You don't know the tricks, man.
Let's do one more. Cameraman, what's up, buddy?
Is there a point in your life where you like kind of wanted to stop playing music, or felt like you wanted to stop, or where you like plateaued musically?
Heavy questions here tonight. Philosophy. No, for the first one, I've never not wanted to play guitar. It's never, I've never, when some people say they see a really great guitar player and they go, oh, he makes me want to burn my instrument. I don't understand that. I never have understood that. It's like, don't you just want to get better? Like, go play? I've never understood that. So no, I've never been discouraged. Even when I found out that you need to, what's the term? Earn money to live. Even when I realized that, I just loved it too much, and it was always an identity thing. I was kind of an awkward kid, pretty shy, didn't have a lot of friends. So playing guitar, it made me feel really good. Anytime I get a little bit better, I was like, oh wow, see how far this rabbit hole goes down. Learn more, meet more people that play, join a band, start a band, whatever. Plateau, no one's happy with their guitar playing. Nobody is happy with their guitar playing. You meet one guy who's like doing the thing. Anybody who's a good person is gonna be like, yeah, I gotta learn more. Just always, the more you know, the less you know. You'll run into the occasional ass who'll be like, I'm killing it, man. You're like, you're not sick. You're not sick. Anybody who's doing music as a living, or even amateur, no one's happy. So that can't even be a question. That can't be a question. Like, oh, I plateaued. Like, am I ever gonna get better? Of course you're gonna get better. You're a human being. You're gonna grow and you're gonna evolve, and it's gonna take time. For me, I grow so incredibly slow. It takes me years to get that. In fact, by the way, this is really a difficult thing to do. I don't know how many of you guys have done anything like this before. Come from a random city that you flew here from, coming to another place you've never been in front of a room full of people. It's like really unnatural to do this. If you think about it, you're all sitting there with your arms crossed, judging me. Look at that hair, those tattoos. Who is this guy? Canadians. Look at these guys. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but thank you very much. But you get better at it. You break out of your shell. You learn little tricks to make it easier. I'm drunk. I'm just kidding. You learn little things, to soften the blow. For me, I've been working on this thing for so long. It's just this. That little move. So what I'm doing, for example, is, but I'm going, I'll do it all over the place, like, just trying to get that down. That's taken me years to do it comfortably, on demand, in a song, in a different key, or chord change I don't quite understand. But again, it's like the theory thing. I've always enjoyed that. It's never been like, oh, I'll never pick like Paul Gilroy, I'll never sweep like Jason Becker. It's like, it's because I'm not those guys. It's like, it's not. Oh, Guthrie Govan, he's so good, he knows all the techniques, I'll never be that good. Probably not. Do your own thing. Who cares? You know? Great. Good for Guthrie, you know? I've talked to him many times about this stuff, and he doesn't practice, he doesn't care about it, he just plays guitar. Because he's been playing guitar since before he could speak English, right? So, you can't worry about that. That'll drive you crazy. Just drive you insane. And you're a young man too, aren't you? How old are you?
17.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Just living, just existing, your cells dividing, just crushing it. At a guitar store as your apprenticeship or something, or your internship. Beautiful. Just keep existing. You'll be just fine. All right, I'm gonna play another song. Thank you. Okay, a couple more questions, and I'll play one more. My friend, all the way in the back. How you doing?
So, sort of a gear question, but
Ooh.
not sort of. I have your custom shop.
Which one?
That one right there.
You got it?
I got it.
I got it.
Great.
Did you bring it?
No, I don't have it with me.
You son of a gun.
That's Les Paul I ever owned,
That's
right?
my guy right there, folks.
No, it's great. So typically, I mean, I see, you know, a lot of the rock guitar gods, you know, they're playing with humbucking style guitars.
Yeah.
What I always like the single coils, but your ear, what made you decide to go to the single coils? What about the voice of them attracted you to hit music?
I mean, this might be the best. This might be the overall best clinic I've ever done. Just
Welcome to
in terms
New Jersey.
Oh. It was as simple as that. It was right.
It's a really smart state.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you guys are all laughing at that, so I don't know what I should say to that. Like, what do I do right now?
Say sorry.
I like that. It's not true.
It's a really good high school.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So it's the way that started out was I had zero money for a long time. So I had one guitar with 3 single coil pickups. And I didn't understand anything about pickups for a long time. I didn't know what the heck they were. I had no idea what these things were. And I'd read magazines, people like talking about, you know, the tone zone or super distortion. I was like, what are these things? What do they do to your guitar? They're like it makes you sound totally different. These? What the? And I see two of them stuck together. I'm like, oh, that's just must be that guitar has that little feature. I had no idea. My rig for the first few years was, I mean, I loosely use the term rig. It was a Squire Bullet used. I paid Canadian dollars, by the way, folks, $99, which is like $5 American, or half a pound. And I used a Fender Frontman 15R with reverb and paint stains on it because I'm another used product. And that was my thing. It was blown out a little bit too, and I turned the distortion on. You get like the radio from like 4 houses down. Oh, what's he listening to? Oh, I've heard that song before. Yeah. And then from there, when I would go and play with my friends who were in a band, I would use that guitar direct into a PA with a DOD grunge pedal. That was my sound, and we'd be down there playing like, but like just imagine. I love that Radiohead song, great song, and I would just play with that sound. And I remember his dad would come down and be like, "Shut up!" And we're like, "I'm not gonna shut up." So I didn't know anything about tone. I had no idea, no clue. But all the while, I was developing like an ear for that sound. When I was telling this gentleman here about the whammy bar, I bought a guitar. Finally, I had a guitar with different pickups in it, which was that carbon. I didn't know what they were. It's so funny. I'd been playing so much guitar, hours, playing in bands. Still didn't know what pickups did. I had no idea. even now, someone asked me like, "Yo, are you using like 12AX7s or like 6L6s?" And I'm like, "What? What? I don't know. Ones that glow. They glow brightly. Those ones." Very clueless about all that stuff. But I did notice when I started playing in my, like under my band name, just my name, cleverly titled band, Nick Johnston. We were playing some of the stuff off the first album I put out, and you know, I was playing with a distortion pedal through a couple different amps and sound. And one day I broke a string at practice, and I was like, I guess we can't keep practicing. But the drummer said, no, the other band that's in here usually they left a Strat. You should just use that. And I was like, oh yeah, I used to play. Why not? And I played this stuff with that guitar, and everyone was like, you sound so much better. You sound so much better on a guitar with single coils. And that's when I, you know, my friend telling me I was terrible, mixed with that, I sold the guitar. But I didn't know. I had no ear for it. I just was like, I'm playing guitar. It's a sound. And then I started to get a little bit more, you know, I started to be a little bit more aware of that, because then when I would switch between them, it's like pretty noticeably different. But I like the sound of my hands. You can hear. I even just like the sound of this right here. I'm not done yet. I play with the changes. You get it. So I love the sound of the flaws and the clicks and the pops, and I love this. I genuinely love that though. Here we go. I'm right here. You know, and like, I just love it. I love that sound. And if you kind of hit hard enough and you play with that sound long enough, and I didn't use pedals for so long, so many years. I just didn't, because all my favorite players, you could hear their hands, and I liked the way they played, and they didn't use a lot of pedals and stuff like that. Until recently, I started traveling more, and you know, I'm using that Lone Star. I've only used it a couple times, so I don't really know how to dial it in properly. So I'm using some of the stuff on the floor to help. But I can make it sound a lot bigger sometimes. And wow, how do you get a Strat to sound that big? I think it's just from playing it so much. This is the only guitar I play. This or the other iterations of this guitar, which leads me beautifully into why I'm here tonight. Well, that does help too. In fact, there's merch over there. Wow, look at that, merch over there. Wow. Anyways, I am here on behalf of Schecter, of course, and this is the fourth, can you believe it? Fourth iteration of this guitar. I'll try and weave your question back into this. Available now at Beau Guitar. This is kind of based off of what I'd always really used, and that's just a simple 3 single coil master tone volume 5-way. 5-way blade with, you know, I get asked all the time, why do you use a Wenge neck and every fretboard? Is it a sound thing? Nope, it looks cool. It looks really cool. That's it. Do you notice a big difference in the sound of yours between your other guitars?
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
It just looks really cool, doesn't it?
Awesome.
It looks awesome, yeah.
It looks cool. The back of the neck, though, I do notice, because it's more porous from me playing it over the last 8 months or so. The oil just, you know, it feels so much better.
It does. It feels real. I thought you were gonna say like, I want my money back. I feel like you're talking to the wrong guy.
That guitar's staying with me.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing when that happens. I originally noticed that kind of thing on some of those old EVH guitar, like when he was doing them with PV. They're really raw. I'm like, wow, that feels great after I played it for a bit. I kind of wanted to do that. But yeah, this is just always, I guess, the sound I've listened to my childhood, and then there was a brief period where I had that other stuff, which I just didn't sound good on. I realized that my picking technique's terrible. I could never keep the strings quiet. I could never keep the amp quiet. So yeah, it's really just been always in the background. Are you having a hard time making it sound the way you want, or are you pretty good with it now?
No, I mean, it basically out of the box. I mean, it was right where I wanted it. I picked it up, the weight was perfect.
And yours was the first.
This was the one that I was like, nah, this one's staying. It's not
cool.
going anywhere. It's a really fine, these very finely made.
I wish I could take credit for making them. All I said was this: I want that and that.
I mean, even the fretwork on them.
Yeah.
The fretwork on. I mean,
Guys, are you gonna hire this guy? or
They
what?
get $20 before.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm making here.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered. I feel like I didn't answer your question. Did I kind of answer it?
sort of.
What was it again? I'm kind of not joking. What was your question again?
Well, just back to the single coils. I mean, where did you musically? I mean, your ear is just more attracted to that openness of the single coil, or is it just what you got used to?
I got used to it. Yeah.
Feeling it, the reaction.
Yeah, I got used to it.
The pickup.
I just got used to it, and even when even now, if I was gonna play, one of these guitars with a hum, it would just sound. It would sound terrible. I wouldn't know what to do with it. I wouldn't know how to control that power. It's like if I play the 7 string, it would feel the same to me. Like, what is this foreign object? I don't know what to do with it. And I use the volume knob and the tone knob so much on these guitars. Even just from one phrase, like, or like. It's so personal, this guitar, or any Strat style guitar, Les Paul style, any Strat style. It's all these little things. I think you can only really hear them on a guitar like this.
Also, thank you for one tone knob.
Oh yeah, yeah. What psychopath did they use? I'm just kidding. Yeah, just the one, and it's quite powerful. I don't know if you've done that little sweep test, but like. Before this even, these pickups like. It's actually like, damn, there's a lot of sweep going on here. Anybody else? Anybody else that hasn't asked one? Let's try it out here. Anybody else? My friend, I gotta come crawling back to him now. Please!
It's not really like, it's kind of a two-part, but like quick question.
Okay.
As a fellow lefty, did you ever have the notion when you were first starting out to play a left-handed guitar?
Nope.
Okay. And the other question is regarding just identifying notes by ear, because I hear you're identifying your E chord as an E chord rather than E flat.
Yeah.
Are you ever disoriented by that?
If I'm playing in a situation where I have to be aware of that, yeah. But typically, if I'm going to tour with people, I make them tune to me. even if it's anybody. We're playing E flat. They're like, okay, yeah. No, I mean I don't have perfect pitch, so I just kind of gotten used to playing this way. How's your pitch? Relative. That's the best answer you could have given. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna play one more, and then I'll be over there hanging out if anyone wants to talk more about stuff. Thank you to Beaumont for having me. You guys have been amazing. They got me water, and they gave me 2 Excedrin, because Nick had a headache. Poor guy. That was past Nick, though. I'm cured.
More almonds.
Yeah. Actually, I got those from Starbucks. And thank you guys for coming out. What night is it? Thursday? Thank you for coming out on a Thursday when you could have been at home watching Netflix. I don't know. What are you drinking? Red wine, crying in the bathtub? I don't know. I don't know what you do on a Thursday night. But
Thursday's clinic night in New Jersey.
Who was last Thursday?
You don't want to know.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna play one more for you guys. What was that? What pitch was that?
E flat.
No.
Or D sharp.
D flat.
No, I'm tuned down half a step down.
Ah,
D.
C sharp.
pass.
Thanks, guys.
Howard's been passed.